What's going on, guys? Let me know if you can hear me. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in. We have an emergency alert. What's going on, mods? Thanks for showing up. Appreciate you guys. Smoking Swamp Outdoors, Lorna, God Soldiers, Earth Angel Anna. Good to see everybody. Vanessa Dubois, Mike Subchinsky, thank you for the donation. Keen Tribe, how's it going? Soil Radio Operator, how's it going? Fred Wiggins, good to hear from you. Deidre Fat, Mud and Munitions, Florida Catholic Guy. Amanda Moss, I see a lot of the regulars are in here. Tartan Granny, good to see you. Hope you guys had a great 3-day weekend. President's Day was yesterday. So looks like the week is going to start out pretty intense. We have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert right now. So let me just share my screen with you guys. Stand by 1 minute here. Let me show you what's going on right now. So hopefully you guys can see this. We had as many as 6 nuclear war command and control planes in the air today. Okay, 6, actually 7. We had 7 Boeing E-6B Mercury nuclear war command and control planes in the air, guys. 7. Okay, that is probably the most I've ever counted in a single day. Okay, the last time I counted this many or close to this many was back in like late August or September, right before the situation with Hamas exploded. Okay, I counted like 5 or 6 in one day then, but this is unprecedented. I've never counted this many in a single day. Okay, 7 nuclear war command and control planes in the air today, and there were 2 presidential doomsday planes in the air as well. Okay, and on top of that, we've been seeing a massive amount of NATO reconnaissance over Poland and the Baltic countries. In the last 24 hours, there was a French nuclear capable fighter jet, the Mirage 2000, and it did 3 sorties over the Baltics along the border with Russia and Belarus. Okay, 3 sorties in 24 hours of a nuclear strike fighter jet. Okay, a Mirage 2000. Those are the fighter jets that France uses to deliver their air-launched cruise missiles with the TN-81 300 kiloton nuclear warhead. 300 kiloton warhead, guys. Okay, they also have these jets configured for long-range conventional strike missions as well. Okay, long-range precision strikes with conventional weapons. So 3 sorties with that French fighter jet in the last 24 hours, guys. That is just absolutely insane. But let me just show you what we had going on this evening. We had one of these presidential doomsday planes get aerially refueled. Okay, check this out. So here we have a KC-135 Stratotanker that aerially refueled this presidential doomsday plane. Okay, and this doomsday plane was actually flying partially with its transponder off. And then let me show you this other nuclear war command and control plane right here. Okay, RL-18. Okay, and it was looping all over the Midwest. And then at the same time, we had this one out here off the coast of Texas. Okay, this was just about, you can see the timestamp here. This was at 1:19 UTC time. So that was just 2 hours ago. Okay, 2 hours ago. All right. This is extremely concerning, guys. Okay, something big is about to pop off. I don't know where, I don't know when, but something big is about to pop off because 7 nuclear war command and control planes plus 2 presidential doomsday planes in one day is extremely unusual. And also, there were some B-2 stealth bombers flying around with transponders off today. A viewer sent me some pictures from the Lake of the Ozarks region in Missouri of a B-2 flying over their house with no transponder on. Okay. So our nuclear forces are on high alert right now. Okay. Make sure you guys are, topping off all your preps. Okay. Fix anything that needs to be fixed. Get anything you need to get. So, very, very concerning. But here you can see this presidential doomsday plane. It went out over Iowa and then it got aerially refueled here by a Strato tanker. Okay, you can see them flying together. It's not too common that these things get aerially refueled. Okay, these doomsday planes are for the U.S. president. If something were to happen, let's say like a nuclear war, the president would get on this plane and he would be able to command the entire U.S. military from the air, including our nuclear forces. Okay, so something big is going on. Get prepared, okay? And let me show you these pictures here of the B-2 over Missouri. This was over the Lake of the Ozarks, okay? Right there, you can see that B-2. This was sent to me by someone in the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri today, okay? So, yeah, something's going on. What that is, I have no idea. Rodney Middleton, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate the coffee money. And Mike Subchinsky, thanks for the donation. Hey, Greg, how's your day today, my brother? From the God with the Jesus, you always help me out here. I'm sorry for some words. Yeah, no problem, Mike. Thank you so much for the donation. I'm doing well, and I hope you're doing well also. Thanks for the donation. Really appreciate it. And Christy Lee, thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. So B-2 stealth bomber flying over Missouri today with no transponder. Okay. And let me show you guys what we had in the air earlier. So we also had, while these 2 nuclear war command and control planes were in the air earlier, just about 2 hours ago, we had a third one that was off the coast of California. And for all we know, it could still be there. Okay. Because I didn't see it return. Okay. So the third one went out to the Pacific. And then look at this, guys. I mean, this was in the afternoon. 1, 2, 3 nuclear war command and control planes here, plus a nuke sniffer plane, plus a doomsday plane. Okay. So this is insane, guys. Absolutely insane. All right. Things are really, getting crazy. Let me see. I think I forgot to show you guys one. Here we go. Here's another one that was also airborne 2 hours ago. Iron 99. Okay, this thing was over Oklahoma City all afternoon and all evening. Okay, looping over Oklahoma City. Okay, so 2 hours ago we had 3 nuclear war command and control planes, and then earlier in the afternoon we had 4 actually earlier in the afternoon. But this one right here, Iron 99, it's been looping over Oklahoma City all day, basically, all day. Okay. So, very, very concerning, guys. Very concerning. Judy Fugate, thank you for gifting 40 memberships. Wow. That's incredible. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Very generous of you. And so that's actually 3 just about 2 hours ago. Let me show you some of the rest of them. Then we had the fourth one off the coast of California. And then here we have 3 more. Okay, so 7 today, guys. That is just absolutely insane. And then this was that Iron 99. And you can see it was looping over Oklahoma City. Okay, basically since the afternoon. Here's another one. And then here's the Doomsday plane that was airborne earlier, and it was just looping over Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay, so I'm very concerned, guys. I'm very concerned. Here's another one of the nuclear war command and control planes, slot 17. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't believe me, I'll read off the call signs if you think I'm bullshitting. Okay, we had slot 17, we had iron 44, we had iron 99, we had whale 16, we had catch 16, that's 5 already. We also had weps 33, that's 7 or 6, and then we had Arl 18, that's 7. Okay, so that is just a massive amount, absolutely crazy. And I'm going to get to some of the latest breaking news. We also have a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East, guys. So let me just finish up here and I'll get to everything else, all the other headlines. Okay. I know people today have a very short attention span. And if you don't spit out everything within 1 minute or less, they're going to tune out. But unfortunately, I can't do that. That's physically impossible. So let me finish up covering this, and I'll get to some of the latest headlines here. So here we have that French Mirage 2000. Okay, this was earlier today, and it flew 2 sorties. I'm sorry, it flew 3 sorties between today and late last night. So in the last 24 hours, 3 sorties. And you can see its typical pattern. It goes along the Russian border and the Belarusian border here, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, this is a fighter jet, guys. There's no other possible use for this plane. They're not going to have reconnaissance devices on this thing. It's a fighter jet. There's no room to put any kind of reconnaissance equipment on it. This is basically a nuclear or conventional strike fighter jet for the French Air Force. Okay, they have 2 varieties. They have the Mirage 2000D, which is the one that's armed with conventional long-range cruise missiles, and then they have the 2000N, which is part of the French nuclear deterrent, and they have 60 of those loaded with the TN-81 300 kiloton warheads. Okay, massive firepower there, flying right on the border of Russia the last week, these planes. That is very, very serious. We also had some kind of incident on a plane. Somebody apparently tried to open an emergency door on the plane. This is still developing, but they actually had to detain this guy. A bunch of passengers detained him, and then he was taken away by police. So we don't know if this is terrorist related or what, but very concerning. Okay, and I'm very concerned that we could see some type of domestic terror attacks here in the U.S. Okay, the FBI, the DHS, and DHS, the FBI, and the Director of National Intelligence warned us back in December that there would be an increased chance of terrorism here in the U.S. And if you remember a few months back, the FBI director testified in front of, or he didn't testify, but there was a hearing, and he said that we're at a pre-9/11 stage right now, that he hasn't seen this amount of potential terror incidents that, the FBI had to thwart since before 9/11. Okay, so in addition to the situation in Europe with NATO and Russia, the situation with Israel and Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, Then we have China, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, Venezuela, Guyana. Now we have then the border, okay, and then now we have potentially terrorism to worry about. Okay, so very serious situation, guys. Please take my warning seriously. Okay, do what you need to do to get prepared because time is running out. Okay. Kate of Buckingham, good to see you. Thanks for showing up, and thank you so much for the donation. I hope everything is going well with you, and I hope you had a great President's Day. Thank you very much. And Deidre Fat, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you in here. I hope you're doing well. And Pamela, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it, Pamela. Thank you. Thank you. And Toolmaker, good to see you. Preppers being united is the best. Yeah, I totally agree. You know what's nice about this channel is we have some really supportive people here. You know, everybody supports each other. We don't really have a lot of negative people here on this channel because if they are, they get banned. So it's really good to have that, supportive atmosphere. Yeah, I heard about Remington leaving New York. It's not New York City, it's New York. Remington is leaving New York. Yep. They have a headquarters there. That's where Remington was originally. That's where they started their business. But being that New York is basically a communist state, with no freedoms at all, New York doesn't recognize the Second Amendment. There's actually no Second Amendment in the New York State Constitution. So the right to keep and bear arms is not even recognized by the state of New York. Okay. How do I know that? Because I lived there basically all my life up until 3 years ago. Okay. Aubrey, thank you so much for the donation. We had cyber drills today, mock-ups of shutting everything down. Interesting. What? Where were those drills? Was that at your job or was that, at some local, thing? What's going on, Tiffany Hartman? How's it going? I haven't heard anything about landslides in California. I'll have to check into that. So very serious situation, guys. Okay. Our nuclear forces are on high alert right now. Let me show you what we have going on with radiation right now. Radiation appears to be normal across Europe and the US. We don't really have any spikes or anything. Okay, so that's a good thing. And looks like in Europe, we're also pretty good. Okay, everything's clear over there. And here we have Ukraine. Radiation looks normal in Ukraine, including around Zaporizhia, the nuclear power plant. So that's a good sign, but that could potentially change any day. So let me read to you guys some of the latest headlines here. I'm going to start reading off some headlines. So Estonia foiled a Russian special forces hybrid operation inside NATO territory. The Estonian prime minister has claimed that her country has foiled a hybrid operation by Russian special forces on NATO territory. According to local media, operatives run by Russian special services were the ones behind an attack carried out on an Estonian minister's car last year. Wow. So they tried to assassinate an Estonian minister, guys. Okay. And they're saying that this is a hybrid operation. That's not a hybrid operation. That's that's an act of war. Okay. Trying to, attack a car of another country's minister. That is huge. Okay. But they're trying to downplay it, and say that, oh, it's a hybrid operation, to quell the panic. Even though NATO is preparing for war with Russia, we had the German defense minister say yesterday that it's not going to be sooner than 5 to 8 years before Russia goes to war with NATO. Okay, even though we had multiple generals, multiple defense ministers saying that war could be inside of 3 years with Russia, and I think it's going to be this year that there's going to be a war between NATO and Russia. Whether it'll go nuclear, I don't know, but I think Russia is going to make a move this year, especially if Trump or Nikki Haley get elected. And if Biden loses, or it looks like he's going to lose, then Putin is going to make his move. Okay. So this is very concerning. Let me continue reading this article to you. According to the International Security Service confirmed today it had identified those behind the vandalization of cars belonging to Estonia's interior minister and a journalist last year. In a statement issued to social media, Estonia's Prime Minister Kaja Kallas said Estonia has successfully stopped a hybrid operation by Russia's security services on our territory. We know the Kremlin is targeting all of our democratic societies. Our answer: be open and reveal their methods. This is the way to deter harmful actions and make us resilient. In total, 10 people were detained as part of the criminal investigation, with the ISS believing they were acting on behalf of the Russian special services. So they vandalized the cars of the Estonian interior minister. Okay, what that means, we don't know. Okay, vandalizing. Does that mean that they placed a bomb on it? Does that mean that they cut the brakes? Okay, they could have cut the brake lines and said, "Oh, that's just vandalization." You know, that they weren't trying to assassinate anyone. They just cut the brakes. No big deal. Okay. But they're not releasing any details about it. But I personally believe if they're saying there was vandalization, I think they probably cut the brake lines or tried to damage the car in such a way that when the interior minister would drive it, he would crash. Okay. It's very easy to cut brake lines, especially on modern cars. Literally, all you have to do is reach into the wheel well with a good pair of snips and just snip the brake line. Okay. Doesn't take a lot of effort, or a small bolt cutter, and that's it. Okay. Very easy to do. Um, so very, very concerning news there coming out of Estonia. And Aubrey, thank you so much for that donation. Appreciate it. And White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby is reportedly telling Americans in Russia to leave as the Biden administration prepares to unveil strong sanctions in response to the death of Alexei Navalny. Okay. So the U.S. is telling all Americans to leave Russia now because the Biden administration is going to start a new round of sanctions this Friday in response to Navalny's assassination. Okay. And in my previous update yesterday, a lot of people didn't watch my videos yesterday, I guess because it was President's Day, but there was a lot of information in those videos, including some of the details about Navalny's death. It appears like he was probably exfiltrated out of the prison, and he was probably killed outside of the prison, because a lot of the prisoners reported that there was a visitation by some of the prison officials from not that particular prison, but like higher ups. And they did like a cell shakedown. All the cells were shaken down, and they locked everybody in. There was a lockdown and a shakedown right before he was taken out, before he was assassinated. And there were like strange vehicles coming in and out of the prison. The prisoners heard the vehicles coming in and out. So it sounds like Navalny was taken out of the prison, and I mean, who knows? They could have just killed him on the side of the road somewhere. I mean, and the Russians are still not releasing the body. to Navalny's wife. They're going to keep it for at least 2 weeks, which is very sketchy. Obviously, they're afraid of people finding out the cause of death, so they want to hold on to it and let the body decompose a little or somehow cover up any evidence. But that's really sketchy. And what's also sketchy is that Navalny's widow, or his former wife, uh, her Twitter account was suspended yesterday, okay, which is extremely suspicious. And guys, I don't trust Elon Musk. I know a lot of people, they have boners over him and think he's like some kind of savior. Okay, I want to remind you guys who Elon Musk is, okay? He's the guy that wants to colonize Mars and send people to Mars. He's the guy that wants to put a chip in your brain so you can interface with computers. Okay, Neuralink. That's Mark of the Beast technology, guys. He's not on our side. He's just pretending to grow his empire. He's pretending to be some kind of conservative. Want to also remind you guys that Elon Musk also supports stronger gun control. Okay, so he is not on our side. He's not what he is portraying himself to be. He's a con artist. Okay, he's a liar. He's trying to portray himself to be some kind of conservative warrior on social media. Keeping free speech alive. Which yeah, Twitter is more free now. Okay, but he allows all these freaking pro Hamas accounts on Twitter. He allows all these pro Iran accounts and pro Putin accounts, and he allows them to spread all kinds of hate and disinformation. So free speech is good, but it has limits, obviously. And he's just letting everything go like it's the Wild West. But Alexei Navalny's his widow, her Twitter account was suspended. I don't know if that was on purpose or what, but very suspicious, guys. Almost like Putin asked him to suspend her account, okay, because they want to silence her. They don't want her to speak the truth and speak what's going on. They want Navalny to be some kind of villain in Russia. They want to make Navalny out to be the villain, like he's some kind of bad guy and he deserved to be in prison, and he died in prison on health reasons. And, that's what they want to spin it as. Okay. And Putin is the savior, Navalny's the bad guy. He was anti-Christian and we had to lock him up. He was causing an uprising. He wanted to, act against the Orthodox Church, just a bunch of BS. I still think it's time to take Putin out. We're at war. If war on our current path, maybe the ensuing struggle in Russia will buy us some time to diplomatically end this. Thanks for the donation, EM. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've tried to take Putin out before, but he's obviously, he's a former KGB agent, career KGB agent, served the USSR very proudly, fought for communism, led the KGB office in East Germany. So he knows what he's doing. Okay. He's not a dummy. It's not easy to take him out. But thank you for the donation. Mike Subchinsky, thank you so much for the donation again. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't really drink much alcohol these days. Occasionally I'll have a beer or some wine or a wine cooler. I don't really go out and get wasted or anything like that. But I'll definitely get like some good beer with that money. Thank you so much. So I'm sure I probably upset some people, but that's the truth. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. Mud and Munitions says Putin is a modern day Stalin. So let me continue with the news here. Fox News is reporting that 7 million illegal aliens have entered the U.S. under the Biden administration. 7 million, guys. That is absolutely insane. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of these illegal aliens are, potentially spies or sleeper agents. There's just thousands and thousands of them coming from China. Very serious situation on the border. The Hungarian parliament is going to, or has approved Sweden's membership. Okay, the Hungarian parliament has approved Sweden's NATO membership. So Sweden will become a member of NATO, and I'm sure officially it's going to happen probably in July at the next NATO meeting. But Hungary was the last country needed to approve their membership, and looks like they did. Okay, so that is huge news and good for NATO. I'm sure Russia's not going to like that, and that could inflame the tensions there. But definitely good news for NATO. And Bloomberg is reporting that senior U.S. officials have reportedly told allies that Russia could successfully deploy their space-based nuclear weapon, or a mock version of it, by the end of the year. Okay, that is very, very concerning. Okay, by the end of the year, they're going to deploy the space-based nuclear weapon, according to senior U.S. officials. Okay, the Russians are going to deploy the space-based nuclear weapon by the end of the year. Yeah, please, no caps lock unless you're a moderator. Okay, only moderators can use caps lock. Nobody else. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it has to be, unfortunately. And the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed a Russian military base this evening full of Russian soldiers. We're hearing as many as 65 Russian soldiers have been killed in this strike. Apparently, they used multiple HIMARS to conduct this strike in Trudivsky in Donetsk, okay, in the occupied section of Donetsk. Okay, there was like dozens and dozens of Russian troops there, and they hit that base with the HIMARS and killed them all, basically. Okay, so that is pretty serious, guys. I'm sure Russia's not going to be happy about that. So, right before the U.S. is going to be giving them the longest range HIMARS missiles, the ATACMS, which have a range of 300 miles. Okay, they're going to get the 300 kilometers, which is 200 miles. Ukraine is going to get the 200-mile missile for the HIMARS. That is a game changer, guys. Okay, now Ukraine is going to be able to hit everywhere, and they're going to get the singular large warhead. They're not going to get the cluster munitions that they got, because they already got the ATACMS, but they didn't get the longest range ATACMS, and they didn't get the singular warhead, that's what you want. The singular warhead allows you to damage things, bridges, buildings, you name it. Okay, but basically what the Biden administration did was they neutered the Ukrainians, and they gave them the ATACMS that has the cluster warhead, and the cluster warhead is basically useless for Ukraine. Okay, cluster munitions are only for anti-personnel purposes. Okay, what they need is the singular warhead. And Ukraine is about to get it, but right before they're about to get it, they just launched this massive strike on Russia, or on Russian forces in Donetsk. And I want to remind you guys that in 4 days, we have the 2-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. This Saturday is the 2-year anniversary, so I'm going to be live streaming probably 24/7 very soon. I might start that up even tomorrow or Thursday, and just cover the news all day long, because I'm afraid that there's going to be some big escalation on this 2-year anniversary. Maybe that's why all the nuclear warplanes are in the air. We know that Russia has been making gains in Ukraine recently. They've been launching successful offensives in multiple directions along the front line. They just took Avdiivka from the Ukrainians. They're about to take Robotine, which is one of the towns or small cities in southern Ukraine that the Ukrainians tried very hard to take from the Russians. And now it looks like the Russians are going to take that back. And they're pushing in 5 directions now. But the main breaking news that I reported yesterday, which for some reason nobody really watched that video I reported this on, is that 50,000 Russian troops are piling up in southern Ukraine. 50,000 Russian soldiers, okay, are piling up in southern Ukraine, according to Ukrainian military sources and Russian military sources, okay? So it looks like Russia is preparing for a massive counteroffensive of their own. And it looks like they're going to target southern Ukraine instead of eastern Ukraine. They might try to push the front line further north, which makes a lot of sense because that's the most vulnerable part of the front line for Russia is the southern part of Ukraine, Zaporizhia, because if the Ukrainians went south, they could split the entire land bridge that Russia created. So maybe the Russians are going to push that front line forward north another 50 miles maybe. I mean, who knows? Any ground that they can get is going to be advantageous for them in that area because it'll reduce the chances of Ukraine coming in and splitting the land bridge. It would make it a lot harder for the Ukrainians to do that, okay? So, it's going to get crazy, guys. This year is going to be absolutely insane. We have the election coming up. It's just a lot of stuff going on right now. We also have breaking news coming from the Middle East. Apparently, this evening there were major clashes between the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli military, and Iran-backed terrorists in the West Bank in Jenin. Okay. Israel had to carry out an airstrike in the West Bank in Jenin earlier this evening because of the Iran-backed terrorists that were apparently they were attacking some Israeli troops there. So things are escalating in Jenin, in the West Bank. I want to just tell you guys something about Israel. I have friends in Israel. I have one close friend in Israel, and he gives me information on the ground. He gives me details, things that the news is not going to tell you. Okay, the news is just going to give you the big headlines. Okay, Israel launched 5 missiles today. Lebanon launched 5, or Hezbollah launched 5 missiles back. But you don't actually know what's truly going on until you talk to people that live there. And he told me that in Israel, Israel's full of sleeper cells. Okay, Israel is full of all different kinds of sleeper cells, mostly Islamic terrorists. Okay, Islamic radicals, full of them. And the big fear here is that if Israel launches a counter offensive against Hezbollah, right? Because Hezbollah has been attacking them, and Israel may try to go in. I think they're going to go into Lebanon. It's any week now. As soon as they're done with Gaza, they're first going to go into Rafah. They're going to clear out Rafah. And then once they clear out Rafah, then they're going to go to Lebanon. But the big fear is that all these sleeper cells, like the ones that were causing problems today in the West Bank, are going to activate, and they're just going to go around Israel and just attack people in Israel, just normal Israelis. They're going to go around and do all kinds of crazy stuff, very horrific things like Hamas did on October 7. Okay, and my buddy is part of a volunteer security force. Israel has these volunteer security forces that kind of work with the Israeli government. And, he's very concerned about that. That's something that concerns him very much. But, the media doesn't really cover that. They don't show you how it is in Israel on the ground. They focus so much on, the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, but they don't focus on what it's like for Israelis every single day when they have, you know, terror attacks in their own borders that could happen at any time. I mean, just randomly, okay? Randomly, I mean, Israel is just full of sleeper cells and terrorists, and they carry out all kinds of attacks, even during peacetime, okay? Let alone war. The media doesn't say anything about that because they want to make Israel look to be the bad guy, like Israel is evil, or they're persecuting people. But they don't mention all these sleeper cells and terrorists that are in Israel. You know, I mean, just imagine, like, think like after 9/11, what it was like after 9/11. People were panicking here in America. There was this huge fear of all these terrorists that could be embedded in our country. Imagine a country the size of, New Hampshire, okay, just full of millions of Islamic terrorists. And at any day of the week, they could go into a store and, blow it up. Or they could walk into your living room while you're watching TV, kick your door in and just shoot you up. And that's what happens in Israel. That's been going on for years. Okay, years it's been going on like that. And the media never talks about it. They only talk about how bad Israel is and how Israel is, doing all these bad things. Okay, but they never talk about that. They never talk about all the random rockets that fly into Israel from, Lebanon or Gaza. Okay. But just wanted to mention that to you guys. That's something that we have to be aware of, is that when Israel starts their campaign in Lebanon, it's not just, Hezbollah and all their rockets. They have thousands of rockets, okay, that they're going to immediately launch at Israel, which is going to cause all kinds of problems. Israel's already preparing for a massive power outage. Okay, they're warning people to prepare for that, because Hezbollah has thousands and thousands of rockets that they can just instantly launch towards Israel. But in addition to that, they have all these sleeper cells, like the ones that are causing problems today in the West Bank. Okay. So continuing with the breaking news, Colombia's president, Colombia in South America, says he is in complete solidarity with Brazil's president amid tensions with Israel. Okay, so if you remember, or you may not remember, Israel told the Brazilian government that the president of Brazil is no longer welcome in Israel. Okay, the Brazilian president Lula da Silva is no longer welcome in Israel. Because he basically compared Israel he compared what Israel is doing now in Gaza to what the Nazis did in Europe in World War II, which is just crazy. Okay, but Colombia's president is in complete solidarity now with Brazil, which is no surprise because Brazil and Colombia are both huge cocaine exporters. They're all in it together. They're making huge money off of the cartels. Massive. I think Brazil and Colombia are the largest cocaine exporters, so it makes sense that they would stick together. Apparently, in the central Gaza city of Khan Yunis, there's only 3 Israeli brigades operating there now, down from 7. This is the lowest number of Israeli brigades in Khan Yunis since the start of the war. Okay, so that's a sign that Israel is pulling out of Khan Yunis and they're going to move down to Rafah. And that's basically the last portion of their military operation in Gaza. Once they clear out Rafah, then they can go into Lebanon. And Iran-backed forces launched another massive drone attack on a U.S. base in the Middle East. The Islamic resistance of Iraq targeted the U.S. base in the Conoco gas field in eastern Syria with multiple drones. Okay, so another drone attack on a U.S. base today. Very, very serious, guys. We also are hearing of multiple kabooms in Baghdad in central Iraq. Okay, apparently these kabooms were heard near one of the headquarters used by an Iran backed militia. So it's possible that the U.S. launched a strike. We haven't heard any official confirmation yet. And Hamas chief Sinwar is apparently suffering from complications of pneumonia. This is coming from various Arab sources. Very interesting. We'll have to wait and see if that's true or not, but he's been missing for a long time. He obviously is hiding somewhere, but nobody knows his whereabouts, and there's rumors that he's suffering from pneumonia. Uh, the U.S. State Department spokesperson says, "We have been quite clear that we do not believe that genocide has occurred in Gaza." So the U.S. is backing Israel. That's a pleasant surprise. And Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry expresses its regret over the veto of the draft resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Okay, this was a UN Security Council resolution, and the U.S. vetoed it. Okay. And apparently, senior Hamas leaders have been spotted in Nigeria. It's very interesting. We also have reports of several rounds of intense U.S. and British airstrikes in Yemen this evening. Okay, so no official confirmation of that yet, but we have sources on the ground in Yemen confirming that there were several rounds of intense U.S. and British strikes in Yemen this evening, and this comes after the Houthis launched multiple attacks on commercial ships and U.S. warships in the Red Sea. I want to just read to you all the attacks in the last 24 hours. Okay, the Houthis shot down an American MQ-9 Reaper drone yesterday worth $30 million. That's the second MQ-9 drone that they shot down. They hit 2 U.S.-owned ships with missiles. They hit a British-owned ship with a missile that hit the engine room and forced the crew to be evacuated. They launched 10 drones that had to be downed by U.S. and allied forces. And apparently, the USS Laboon had to shoot down an anti-ship cruise missile heading towards it. And there was an underwater drone that had to be not shot down, destroyed. Okay, so they started using underwater drones now. We also have breaking news that apparently the Houthis have captured one of the most sophisticated autonomous underwater vehicles from the U.S. Navy off the coast of Yemen. The Remis 600 was apparently captured by the Houthis from the U.S. Navy. Okay, so very concerning. They have one of our most advanced underwater drones in their possession now. Still waiting to hear any official confirmation of that, but Nicholas Woodle, thank you for the donation. Monkey Face Tattoos, thank you for the donation. Earth Angel Anna says, I have a 12-year-old fan named Caden who would love a shout out. Oh, sounds good. I'll shout him out. Yeah. Where's Caden from? Where's he located? And thank you so much, Caden, for watching me. I'm glad you watch me, and I hope that you have good grades in school and listen to your mom. So we also have some breaking news coming from SpaceX. SpaceX is now deepening its ties with U.S. intelligence and military agencies. Apparently, they just won a major classified contract, and they're expanding a secretive satellite program called Starshield for national security customers. Okay, Starshield is this new SpaceX Elon Musk venture, and it's going to be for national security customers. So SpaceX is slowly morphing into a defense contractor. Okay, I told you guys not to trust Elon Musk. Smoking Swamp, thank you so much for all your support. I appreciate you. And guys, check out my buddy Smoking Swamp Outdoors. He's a moderator on the channel. Check out his channel. He works really hard. He puts out a lot of videos. He's trying to grow his channel. Check him out, Smoking Swamp Outdoors. Also, check out God's Soldiers Watchman. I don't know if he's still in here or not. He's also a moderator here. Check out his channel as well. He works very hard. He covers Bible prophecy and news as it relates to the Bible, and he does street preaching. He just recently was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. He did some street preaching at Mardi Gras. And he also did some street preaching in the Indy 500. So check him out. K. Paul, good to see you, K. Paul. Sheepdog says the 12-year-old has more smarts than Biden. It's funny. Z Cali, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Purple Heart 72, good to see you. Oh, there he is. God's Soldiers is here. Yeah, check him out. Check out his channel. He's got a really good channel. If you guys are interested in end times news, Bible study, Bible prophecy, street preaching, he's got a whole ministry. So check him out. What's going on, Raina? What's going on, Light Source Engraving? So very serious news. I want to just read to you some stuff here. I have some more stuff I want to read to you. So earlier today, the president of Belarus said that World War III is coming, and he was claiming that Poland and the U.S. are going to stage some kind of false flag, and that they're going to blame it on Belarus and Russia as a justification for war against them. I don't know. It just sounds pretty crazy. I guess it's possible, but I want to read to you this article from the Belarusian state media, Belta. They have an article here about Lukashenko, what he said today at this speech he gave in front of all the his chiefs of staff, okay, his defense council. Fears of a possible third world war are justified, Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko said at a large meeting with the senior staff of the national security agencies in Minsk on February the 20th. Belta has learned there is no country and nation who could feel absolutely safe for the last dozen years. Military force has once again become the main argument of the world's centers for solving issues, as if there were no million losses and horrors of the First and Second World Wars. Now we are literally covered with an information wave of the so-called premonition of the Third World War. There are grounds for concern, the Belarusian leader said. I don't disagree with him on that. I mean, he's definitely hitting it right on the head there. He drew attention to the growing trend in the number of hotspots. Last year alone, more than 25 military conflicts were launched or continued in different regions on different continents, and almost each one was used as an excuse to introduce a peacekeeping contingent. You know what this is done for? To deploy people with weapons to mark their zone of influence. That means the world is turning into a testing ground for global confrontation, the head of state said. Alexander Lukashenko continued, you see what is happening in the Middle East? There are already open threats to use nuclear weapons. entire cities are being wiped off the face of the earth along with their peaceful inhabitants. He's talking about Gaza. It turns out that it is possible to do so without getting under sanctions, without becoming an outcast in the eyes of the so-called civilized society, carriers of true democratic values. So he's kind of saying that the West and the rest of the world are hypocrites because they're allowing Israel to invade Gaza, and meanwhile, Russia and Belarus invade Ukraine, and they're made out to be the bullies, but Israel's allowed to go into Gaza. That's what he's saying. It's just pretty insane. But the situation on the European continent, including near the borders of Belarus, is not calmer either. About 32,000 troops of the joint NATO and U.S. armed forces are deployed in the immediate vicinity of Belarus and Russia as part of the alliance's operations in Europe. This is more than 1,000 units of armored vehicles, about 160 artillery systems and mortars, and 235 planes and helicopters. All this, at least, is a demonstration of force. And then he went on to blame Poland and saying that Poland is planning to stage a false flag. But very interesting. And let me see. I wanted to read to you more about this situation in Estonia, which is very concerning. It concerns me very much. Thank you, Mud and Munitions. I try my best. Thank you so much, Mud, for all your support. Yeah, very crazy times in history. Very crazy times. And it's just going to get worse and worse, It's just going to get worse and worse as the year goes on. Titan Intel, how's it going? Good to see you. Egon, thank you for the donation, Egon. I appreciate that. And Nicholas Woodle, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Resistor, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Tuesday night. Let me see here. I want to read to you a little more about this foiled hybrid operation on NATO territory. This is very interesting. Let's see here. So the Estonian prosecutor said this is a preliminary investigation and will be verified by criminal proceedings. But as proceedings are ongoing, limited information is available. She said proceedings have been initiated under the Penal Code, which deals with offenses against the security of the Republic of Estonia. We cannot overlook the gravity of the offense under investigation and the fact that, according to the suspects, they were prepared to take part in activities against the security of the Republic of Estonia without thinking about the consequences. Those who have been arrested are said to be Russian and Estonian dual citizens. Many of the individuals detained had existing criminal records, with some being Russian residents recruited in Russia, while others were approached on social media. It is a broader trend today that both Russian and Chinese special services are approaching people through social media. It was also agreed what the charges are for attacking different sites. The fee was not significant and certainly not worth the risk. It was a matter of specifically targeted orders to attack a specific object. Okay, so they got paid to do that. Okay, these Russian Estonian dual citizens got paid to vandalize the interior minister of Estonia, his car. Okay, which again, most likely tried to cut the brake line or something serious. Let's see here. Apparently, there have been several attempted attacks, which Estonia has managed to prevent. There was a plan to attack specific individuals' vehicles, which were foiled. Apparently, this is a new method of influence. In our assessment, Russia did not achieve its objective. So, pretty interesting there. Kaupo Rosin, Director General of the Foreign Intelligence Service in Estonia, warned politicians in Estonia that similar attacks could take place elsewhere. He said the public does not talk about what is happening in other countries. I would say with high confidence that such action has not only been against Estonia, but has also been against other countries. Here we are no different. Minister of the Interior, Lori Lanemets, so it's actually a woman, sorry. So apparently her car was broken into in early December with a vehicle belonging to the editor-in-chief of the news portal Delphi. Apparently it was vandalized. So very concerning, guys. It looks like they're really targeting Estonia hard, and Estonia is building bunkers now along their border with Russia. They're building, 600 bunkers. They're building a massive defense line along their border with Russia. So, looks like Estonia is in the crosshairs. That looks like potentially the first country that may get attacked by Russia this year when Russia goes after NATO. And Putin's going to use every excuse he can find. He's going to say that Russians are being persecuted there. He's going to say that there's NATO bases that are being used to target Russian cities or something, by the Ukrainians. They're already building the case for that. They're already saying, that Ukraine hit a bunch of civilians in Russia with, Western weapons. They're already building up the case for that. What's going on, Mama of Six? Good to see you. So, that's some of the latest headlines that I have for you. I'm going to check the earthquakes real quick and see what's going on with the earthquakes and check what's going on with the sun. But the sun is quiet right now. We have that satellite that's going to be entering our atmosphere. It's going to be entering our atmosphere any hour now. They predicted it would enter the atmosphere tomorrow. It's a European satellite. It's going to break up when it, crashes down to Earth. But you might see something in the sky, so keep your eyes peeled tonight and tomorrow night, and also Thursday night. You might see the debris. Here we have the sun. You can see all the sunspots here. It's pretty quiet right now, but we have this monster sunspot here. You see this one right here, 3590. Okay, that is insane. Look at the size of that sunspot. That thing is a monster. So potentially we could see some flares come out of that. We had that X 2.5 flare last week. Okay, an X-class flare last week, guys. It caused a radio blackout. Luckily, the flare was not fully Earth-facing, but if that was Earth-facing, we could have had major impacts. We could have had power failures. We could have had cell towers go down, internet go down, all kinds of stuff. So we're overdue, guys. We're overdue for a massive solar flare. We're overdue. We're at Solar Max right now. Solar Max is going to last the rest of the year. And during Solar Max is when you have the massive flares that can cause power failures and communications failures. So make sure you have a bug out bag. If you travel far away from home, make sure you have a bug out bag with you. Because if one of these flares hits us, it's like an EMP basically. Okay, look up the Carrington event. Okay, I'm going to do a whole separate video soon on the Carrington event. in-depth study of it, but just look up the Carrington event if you want to know what a really strong solar flare can do. That was an insane situation there with the Carrington event. All kinds of power failures and communications failures. This was going back to the 1800s. All the telegraph lines, went down. So we're overdue for that. We're also overdue for a massive earthquake from the New Madrid fault. Scientists are saying that we're way overdue for an earthquake from New Madrid, which is in western Tennessee and that Mississippi River area. Okay. And I think scientists are saying like a 25 to 30% chance that New Madrid will generate a massive earthquake in the next like 20 years. Okay. Read about the New Madrid earthquake in the 1800s. Okay. It caused the Mississippi River to flow backwards for a little while. Okay. It was a 7.4 earthquake. So we're overdue for a lot of things. We're overdue for a world war. We're overdue for a massive quake here in the U.S. We're overdue for a massive solar flare. It's unavoidable. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. So you got to be prepared for it when it comes. Good night, God's soldiers. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all your support. K. Paul says 3590 looks bad. So, make sure you guys have your bug out bags if you're traveling far. Basic bug out bag, you should have your 5 C's in your bug out bag from, 5 C's from Dave Canterbury. Okay. Container to boil water in and cook food in, cordage, some kind of, rope, okay, like paracord or bank line for various things. You can do a lot of things with cordage. Cutting tool, which would be a knife. You can do a lot of things with that. Start a fire, defend yourself, process wild game and fish, process firewood, lots of things with a knife you can do. Cover, you need some kind of cover to protect yourself, usually even like a contractor bag. It's good to put like 2 or 3, even just one contractor bag in your bug out bag because they don't weigh much, and a contractor bag can do a lot of things. They're very sturdy. You can make a sleeping bag out of them. You can use it as a tarp. You can even make a poncho out of them. You can use them to carry things. So I put like 2 contractor bags in my bug out bag. But that's not really cover. Cover, you're going to want like a poncho, a military grade poncho, a ripstop poncho that you can use as both a tarp and as a poncho to protect yourself from, getting wet so you don't get hypothermic. And then I'm missing one. I have container, cordage, cutting tool. Oh, and combustion. Okay, combustion, you need ferrocerium rod. Okay, a ferro rod for making sparks to start a fire. Okay, so with those 5 things, you can do a lot. And then on top of that, add some flashlights. I always keep 2 flashlights in my bug out bag. I have like a primary flashlight. Then I have a backup flashlight. If my primary flashlight, I lose it, it breaks, whatever. I have a smaller backup flashlight. And then I also have like a little flashlight that I can clip onto my backpack so I can illuminate an area hands-free. And you always want to have red filters or red LEDs on your flashlights, okay? You don't want to use white light if you're bugging out unless it's a self-defense scenario, okay? White light should never be used if you're bugging out, or even in any SHTF situation. You never want to use white light because Number one, it gives away your position. Okay, you have to think if it's an SHTF situation, the power is down, it's going to be pitch black even in the cities. Okay, if you turn on a white flashlight, someone's going to see that from a mile away. Okay, you can literally see a white light from like a mile away. I mean, just look at like cars at night when they drive down the highway, how far away you can see a car coming down the road, especially after SHTF when everything is black. So you don't want to use white light unless it's a self-defense scenario, or you need white light because it's bright and you need to illuminate something, you need to see something. Okay, but never use white light. You always want to have either a red filter or you want to have red LEDs that you can switch between. Like I have a flashlight, I have several flashlights where I can switch between the red and the white LEDs. So if I need to like really illuminate an area because I'm searching for something, like I'm doing a search grid, I'm looking for resources or whatever the situation is, then I want to use the white light. Or if it's a self-defense scenario. But if I'm just hiking around, I want to use that red light. I can switch between the red and the white LEDs. Or if you have a filter that snaps over the top of the light, okay, that works as well. But you want to have some kind of red light. Also, white light destroys your night vision. Okay, it takes the human eye up to 30 minutes to fully adjust to darkness. Okay, so you want to make sure that you allow your eyes to adjust at night. That's why you don't want to use red light. You want to let your eyes fully adjust. And when you turn on that flashlight, you're immediately going back to square one, and you got to wait another 15 to 30 minutes for your eyes to fully adjust. Okay, so avoid using white light in SHTF, a bug out situation, whatever. Red light is the way to go, because the spectrum of red light, it doesn't affect your the rods and the cones in your eyes. It doesn't affect the adjustment. Okay. So there's a pro tip for you. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about bug out bags, and you want me to do more videos on bug out bags. So I'm going to do more videos on that. But, that's some very important stuff there. 5 C's, flashlights, even like, they have these survival candles. Those are good too, because a candle burns a long time, and it's easy on the eyes, and it can illuminate an area, and it saves your batteries. So like a survival candle's good, especially if there's like an EMP, your flashlights may not work. You want to have a ham radio. Okay, even a cheap Baofeng radio, have that in your bug out bag in case you want to communicate with other people when the grid goes down. You want to have that ham radio so you can listen in and see. Number one, for intelligence purposes, you want to turn that radio on and listen to what people are saying on the airwaves. Hey, what are people around you saying? Kind of like eavesdropping. Okay. And then also you can obviously communicate with people with that ham radio as well. Okay. What's going on, John Hoover? Good to see you. Lily Highlander says that'll be a great video. Many don't know about the Carrington event. Yeah, I've been meaning to do a video on it for so long. I'm going to do a separate video on that. But yeah, ham radio. And then in addition, you want to have a radiation dosimeter. That's critical. Okay. Ham radio and radiation dosimeters are two critical electronic devices that every prepper has to have. Okay. You need the ham radio to listen and communicate. You need a radiation dosimeter to monitor how much radiation you're getting. Okay. How much radiation have you been exposed to over time? And how much radiation is your body accumulating? Okay. That's critical. Absolutely critical, guys, because when the grid goes down, there's not going to be any way to tell if you're walking through a radioactive area or not. There's not going to be any government agency saying this area is a hot zone, don't go here. Okay, there's nobody's going to help you. Okay, you're on your own. All right, so you need that radiation dosimeter to monitor the environment, and also monitor, number one, the radiation dosimeter will tell you where the hot zones are. So if you are bugging out and maybe it's a post-nuclear war situation, if there's any hot zones, the radiation dosimeter will tell you, which areas have the more radiation or less. And then you're also going to be able to track how much radiation you're accumulating. So this way, if you're approaching radiation sickness levels or not. You can monitor how much time how much time you can spend out there in a radioactive environment. Okay, without a dosimeter, you're not going to be able to do that, because you're not going to be able to track how much radiation you've accumulated. So you can get the little stickers now, or little cards that are like credit cards or even stickers, and they're like 20 or 30 bucks on Amazon, and they're not very precise, but they have like a color coded thing on the card, and based on how much radiation you've been exposed to, the color gets darker and darker. The more radiation, the darker the color, and it works with some kind of chemical. But this way, okay, I've been out too long. I got to go inside and take shelter because I've taken in too much radiation. Or you can say, oh, I'm not taking much radiation. I can keep going if I have to go and whatever, do something, out there. So that's critical. Yeah, I already talked about a headlamp. My preference, headlamps are critical. If you're going to use a headlamp, make sure it has a red filter or a red LED, not a white one. Okay, because a white one, again, you're talking SHTF. Okay, there's going to be all kinds of people out there that are going to be panicking. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to see you walking around with this white light on your head, and it's just like drawing attention to yourself, to everybody within a mile. Okay, so you want to use the red light. It's not easy to see from long distances, and it preserves your night vision. Okay. What else about bug out bags? You want to have something to write with. That's something that a lot of preppers don't think about. You need something. You may have to write things down, and I'm not talking about like on a notepad. Like in my bug out bag, I have a Write in the Rain notepad, so it's a waterproof notepad. That if I need to write notes to myself, like, okay, if I'm navigating and I need to count my paces, all right, let's say I went 2 miles north, and then I went 1 mile west, and then I went 3 miles north. Okay, if I have to write that down, a notepad is critical for pace counting and navigation, land navigation, or just any miscellaneous things that I come across. Maybe I want to write down the location of something or whatever it is. However, you should also have something if you need to write like directions to somebody else. And what I recommend is a grease pencil or a China marker, or maybe like a carpenter's pencil. Okay, something that you can write on any surface, whether it's wood, concrete, whatever it is. Okay, get like a China marker or a carpenter's pencil, something like that you can write on any surface. If you have to, let's say, leave a note for someone on a wall, okay, maybe you have to tell a family member, and you have to write something down on a wall and say, I was here. Okay, whatever, NYPrepper was here, and I write that on the wall or something, whatever it is. You just never know. So that's another thing. You want to have a paper map of the entire United States and the part of the US that you live in. And the reason why you want a map of the entire United States is you just don't know where you're going to end up. Okay, if you're bugging out, you just don't know. All right, you may have to go somewhere else completely. So having just like an old school folding map that has all the 50 states with all the highways, you don't need topographical in that situation. You want to know where the highways go, the main highways, the roads. And then you want more detailed maps for your area where you live. Okay, so like me, I live in the Northeast. I have a special map just to the northeast, and also the Midwest and nearby areas that like Virginia, Ohio, places that are right next to me. And then you want to have very detailed maps of your specific area where you live and where you're going to be bugging out, and you want all that to be waterproof if possible. Okay, so that's also very important. Obviously, a self-defense tool. Okay, a handgun is really all you need. But if you have a good quality rifle, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you can legally carry it wherever you go, and you can actually have that rifle with you when you're bugging out. And some states, they don't allow you to, they have all different kind of rules with rifles and stuff, so that's something to consider. But that's just some stuff there. I mean, I could spend all night talking about it. A compass is important. You definitely want to have a compass. I have a military lensatic compass. You want a good quality compass. That's critical. And obviously you want to have proper clothing for the season and for your terrain. Um, and that's something that you're not going to necessarily be able to fit in your bug out bag. You may have to have like a separate little duffel bag with your bug out clothes. Okay, you want to, this is something that a lot of preppers don't talk about, is your bug out clothing. Okay, bug out clothing, it's not just about the backpack, okay, and all your gear in there, but you got to think about your bug out clothing. Okay, what time of the year is it? What terrain are you going to be moving through? Okay, these are things you have to plan for. So like even just for the summer months or the warmer months, just a set of BDUs, with green colors, or some green camouflage is fine. In the winter months, you may need, snow camo or brown colored camo or solid brown. At least that's for me in this part of the country where we have 4 seasons. And you want to keep that with you where you're going. If you do anticipate the need to bug out, if you want to keep that in your vehicle, your bug out clothes, and your bug out footwear too. You don't want to just bug out with sneakers, okay, or work clothes and work shoes, dress shoes or something. Okay, so you want to have your bug out footwear, your bug out clothing. Have that in your vehicle if you're going to be traveling far. Okay, whether it's for work or you're going away somewhere, keep that in your vehicle. Your bug out clothing is critical. Okay, you have to protect your body from the environment. Okay, clothing is essential. Proper clothing is probably one of the most important things that you can have in a bug out scenario. Proper clothing is the, probably, I would say, the top 3 things. Kinkoi says, I'm getting a really bad headache. I'm going to have to say goodnight. What's interesting is I also have a light headache today. I don't know if it has something to do with, maybe they're turning on some directed energy weapons or something. But I also have a light headache right now. How many of you guys have a headache today? I'm just curious. How many people have a headache or had a headache today? I wonder if they're doing something. Steve Will Survive says a battery bank and a charger. Yes, a battery bank is another thing. Absolutely. So you can recharge your flashlights. I have for my electronics, whichever electronic device or electric device can accept rechargeable batteries. I have rechargeable batteries for all of them, so I can recharge them if needed. John Hoover says you want cash, $1,000 in small bills, identification documents, passport, power bars, pistol with extra magazine, road atlas, compass, 2 pairs of socks, lighter. Yeah, that's all great. Yep. Yeah, your documents are important as well. Um, that's also important depending on, the bug out situation. You may not necessarily need the documents depending on what the situation is, but that's always good to have. Um, uh, some p- some people are saying they have headaches also. Rebel Edge, Gary S says he had a headache yesterday. Scott says he got a headache all day and a few days last week. Um, Jessica Ann says I had a headache all day. Nellie says pollen is getting bad. Well, there's no pollen up here in February, so I mean it could just be whatever, something totally different. Kimberly says I heard a bunch of people having headaches. Um, Davis says I had a slight headache yesterday. Pamela says Democrats cause headaches. That's funny. Praying and prepping says I'm digging a foxhole and staying put. Yeah, if you can, if that's not a bad idea. Staying put is the best thing to do. But if, let's say, you're at work and your work is 30, 40, 50 miles away and you're stranded at work and there's, a nuclear war, Russia launches nukes at us, or it could be something less, it doesn't have to be that extreme. In that situation, you may want to walk home, um, so in that situation, having a bug out bag is critical. But if you select a proper place to bug in, then you don't have to worry about a bug out bag. And that's the ideal scenario, is to live in a secure area so you don't even have to worry about bugging out. And bugging out is only just for basically getting home from your job, or some kind of travel that you're doing. um I want to just show you guys some of the radiation here in Europe. Looks pretty normal right now. We have a little elevation here in southern Sweden, but I'm not too concerned about it because there's another monitoring station like right next to that one that's low. So this could just be something wrong with that monitoring station there. But if both of these were high, elevated, then I would be more concerned. But looks pretty good right now. Also in Ukraine, it looks pretty good. U.S. looks fine. Cyborg, thank you for the donation, Cyborg. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Diana Stanley, thank you for gifting the 5 memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, K. Paul, for sharing my nuclear war target map, or my nuclear war target. Yeah, I have multiple maps on my website, in targets in Europe, targets in Canada. I have maps of them on my website, and then I have a list of targets in the U.S. On my website as well. Is there a jet stream map to see radiation paths? Well, the thing is that it's not so much the jet stream; it's more prevailing winds. It's not really the jet stream. Uh, Radiation doesn't, the fallout doesn't go that high. It's more the prevailing winds during the time of the detonation. Okay, so you need to know the prevailing winds where you live. Okay, it's critical to know the prevailing winds in your area based on the season and how it changes. Like here in PA and much of the Northeast, Midwest, in the wintertime, most of the winds come from the Northwest. They come out of Canada. So they come down from Canada from the northwest in the wintertime, like from October through April. And then like May through September, we mostly get southern winds, usually from the southwest or the southeast. Okay. So depending on what time of the year Putin decides to push the button, will determine if you get radiation or how much radiation you get, or it can make a huge difference. Like me, for example, where I live, I'm very safe as far as nuclear war targets go. But if, let's say, Putin pushed the button in the summer, I would get more radiation, a lot more radiation coming from the DC area. Even though I'm far from there, still I would get more than in the winter when the wind would come out of Canada. There's no targets north and west of me, so in the winter I would have like zero radiation almost. In the summer I would have more. Okay, so it's a huge difference, depending on when the war is and stuff like that. It's that's why you don't want to live near a nuclear war target. I know it's not easy to pick an area that's not near a nuclear war target, but um, that's why I have the list on my website, so you can make sure that you don't move next to a major target. Raina says runny nose and sneezing all day. John Hoover says a 40 to 60 liter pack. That's a huge pack. I have, for my bug out bags, they're all 20-liter packs, very small. I try to keep my bug out bags under 20 pounds. And again, we're talking about more like a short-term bug out. I'm not talking like long-term, like, days and days and days. I'm talking just a lightweight, small, compact backpack that you can easily move with. You don't want too much crap, because you may have to run, you may have to climb, you may have to go through confined spaces. And if you have too much stuff and your backpack is too large, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. So you want as minimal stuff as possible in your bug out bag, depending on what kind of bug out situation we're talking about. The fallout would last about 2 weeks for most people. Some places the fallout may last 3 to 4 weeks, like in the upper Midwest, North Dakota, parts of South Dakota, parts of Montana, parts of Nebraska, Iowa, parts of Minnesota. Areas downwind of our missile fields are all going to have radiation for up to 4 weeks. So if you live in those areas or downwind of the missile fields, if you live close to the missile fields or downwind of them, you need to make sure you have a good fallout shelter, because you're going to have to stay sheltered for longer than everybody else. So thoughts on body armor for SHTF? Body armor, in my opinion, it's more important for bugging in. I would say body armor is more critical, and it's good to have, obviously, if you get overrun by a group of people. You want to have that body armor, because you could take a bullet. So yeah, it's good. But like for most situations, I would say you probably don't need it. I would say more for bugging in. You want to have some plates for bugging in, just in case you get overrun. If overwhelmed, you get let's say 5 guys, and they come at your house from different angles. Having that plate carrier would be very useful. But for most situations, I would say you probably don't need it. It's just going to add extra weight. Um, so everything adds up. So if for bugging in, you definitely should have some plates. But for bugging out or getting home, I would say it's not necessary. It's just going to weigh you down and slow you down. you're going to want to avoid as much as possible any kind of confrontation. If you're bugging out or getting home, you want to avoid confrontation as much as possible. So, if you're smart and you're stealthy, you don't really need it. Body armor is more for people that are either in a war zone or they're kicking indoors. And I don't plan on kicking indoors, after SHTF. I'm going to lay low and be as stealthy as possible. I'm not trying to draw attention to myself. uh, you know, um, but if there is a situation where I get overwhelmed, then I definitely need it. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but yeah, you want level four plates, level four ceramic. I've tested a lot of the LA police gear stuff. I've tested the LA police gear plates, and they're very tough. They're only like 120 bucks now, or $110. And I've tested my elephant gun. I've shot my elephant gun at those level four plates, the LA police gear one. Uh, it it did on the second shot. They did pass through with the brass solids that I hand loaded on the second shot. Or actually, no, the brass solids penetrated on the first shot. But those were very hot hand loads, and they were brass solids from an elephant gun. Nobody's going to be carrying hand loaded brass solids, in an elephant gun and shooting at you with them. I've also tested some steel core 300 Ultra Mag hand loads at that level 4 LA police gear plate, and I have videos of it in my playlists if you want to watch that. But that did pass through. The steel core passed through, but I pushed that to like ridiculous velocity with the hand load. But just even regular Ultra Mag ammo wouldn't pass through. And I'm going to do a 338 Lapua test soon. I have some tungsten core hand loads I'm going to shoot at that plate as well. But the LA police gear level 4 plate, I mean, it's not the top notch, but if you're on a budget, I would recommend that one. It's going to stop pretty much anything. Yeah, stopping shrapnel is important. That's why you have a ceramic plate. The ceramic plates capture the shrapnel. So I don't know if you're talking about the spalling from the plate, but the ceramic captures the spalling. So um, can I recap the emergency update before signing off? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the emergency update is we had 7 nuclear war command and control planes in the air. 7 nuclear war command and control planes. Plus 2 doomsday planes in the air today. That's the most I've seen in a single day since like August or September, right before the war in the Middle East started. And even then, it was only like 5 or 6. Okay, we had 7 in the air today. That is a huge concern. We also had in Estonia, some Russian secret services tried to sabotage one of the interior minister's vehicle in Estonia. It wasn't Russian secret services. It was some people that they paid to do some saboteurs, basically. So that's an attempted assassination, essentially, on a foreign minister of another country. That's basically like an act of war. So that's very serious too. It looks like Russia's really targeting Estonia and a bunch of other stuff. John Hoover says, for those who don't know, 80% of the wounds are shrapnel. I'm assuming you're talking about Ukraine and war. So I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Did I see Australia's 11B Navy announcement? No, I didn't see that actually. I didn't see that. Not sure what that is. 11B Navy announcement. I didn't see that. Maybe you can help me understand better what that means. Oh, 11 billion? No. Are you talking about I don't know. No, I didn't hear anything about that. Um, Rodney says, "Yeah, I got the knife, Rodney. I'm gonna make a video on it. I was gonna do it today, but I got sidetracked. I'm gonna film a video of it and release it separately as like a separate video because I think it deserves its own video. That knife. Thanks so much for sending it to me. I really appreciate it. The whole situation involving Poland should be in the mainstream news. Are you talking about the Polish farmers dumping the grain out? By the way, if you missed my update earlier, those Polish farmers are not truly not all of them are Polish farmers. I think a lot of them are Russian agents. I had a picture here of one of them with a USSR flag, and they had a banner saying "Putin, save us from Brussels and from our government." I mean, it's just like clear that it was some kind of Russian agent. They're basically trying to make tension between Ukraine and Poland because Poland is Ukraine's biggest supporter, and so they want to, break up that relationship. John Hoover says frontline Ukrainian troops carry 4 tourniquets and 2 Israeli bandages. Wow, 4 tourniquets. Each Ukrainian soldier has 4 tourniquets. Wow, that's a lot. Why 4? I know it's common to carry 2, one for yourself and one for someone else, but 4, that's a lot. 2 Israeli bandages, that makes sense. Kinkoi says, I'm still listening, just not reading. Yeah, reading fine print when you have a headache can be pretty uncomfortable. What's going on, Chris RV? Hello from Canada. Love your videos. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Kat Swee says it's good to have a plan with your family where to meet up and time if something happened, if the power goes down. I have talked with my kids about it. Yeah, you should definitely have a plan. A plan is very important. Absolutely. That's the most important thing. What happens if you get both legs blown up or a leg and an arm? That's true. Yeah. I mean, in that situation, you just bleed out. I'm not sure I would want to survive after having both my legs blown off. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's a really sad situation. What's going on in Ukraine? All the the wars around the world. It's just really sad. All these people dying. Um, Judith says I saw helicopters. They were heading towards Fort Drum. Good night, Smoky Mountain Prepper. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I think what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna actually change my computer here, and I'm gonna get some cameras up on the screen. Since the main portion of the breaking news is I've already covered it. I have some live cameras and flight tracker we can look at. So I'm gonna actually just I'm gonna restart the stream. I'm going to keep it up, but I'm going to change my computer here where I have all my other stuff. So if you just give me a couple minutes here, I'm going to get that set up. So